A lot has happened since this morning. We got many tools like example mapping. Now we know how to validate hypotheses, for example. One of the most important things in product owner daily work is backlog refinement and ordering in such way that the things on highest value are done first. So our next speaker is Marcin Tatarski. Marcin had an opportunity to work as a developer, project manager, Scrum Master, but now he is not Scrum Master. I have to admit that I met a few Scrum Masters who have left their role and took another. Every time being a Scrum Master in the past changed completely your perspective. So today Marcin is an engineering manager, but he admits me that he knows well what means serve a leader, and it is important for him. So today, Marcin Tatarski will sell us another tool that can be useful in products. Merge, diverge-merge concept, and will tell us how to refine backlog appropriately. Marcin, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Przemek. Thank you for a nice introduction. And that's right. So I had the opportunity to work in different roles. And so this mindset of a Scrum Master is very important. And I'm trying to use this mindset in everyday's work as well. So what I'm going to do right now, like in what I'm doing in my current company, I'm supporting several Scrum teams in developing a platform for managing software licenses and cloud subscriptions. But this is the official info about myself. The less official is that apart from Lean and Agile, I really like cooking, I have to admit this. So today you can also find a few analogy to this. But what I'm going to do today with you, I'm going to take you a little bit into the world of Scrum and break into the pieces the product backlog refinement process. But before I do that, I would like to ask each of you, like in your mind, to rate on the scale from 1 to 5 your current experience with product backlog refinement, and hopefully at the end you can back to this and see if there's something which you can improve during the refinement process. So let's start. So there is a three topics which I'm going to cover. So first, maybe some of you are familiar with the golden circle concept, which was defined by Simon Sinek, but I'm going to put product backlog refinement into it. Then I'm going to share a couple of top mistakes and tips how to address some of the mistakes related to the product backlog refinement. And finally, this merge diverge pattern, I would like to go with you step by step and show you how you can apply and do it in practice. So let's start with golden circle. So for those of you who don't know this concept, so this Simon Sinek introduced this concept of golden circle because he realized that the people don't buy what you're doing, they actually buy why you are doing. So the same like great leaders and success companies, they are inspiring people by defining why first. So the people used to follow the purpose. And translating this into Scrum and into the product backlog refinement. So the purpose, the goal of the product backlog refinement is to have the product backlog items in a ready state to be able to have efficient sprint planning. So if you think about this in a cooking analogy, so this is all of those preparation before the actual cooking. So you have to find out what is the plan for your dish, what actually the ingredients you'd like to use, so where to buy them, and so on. So this is all of those preparation activities, and to be really ready for actual cooking. So in other words, like ready also leaves a little bit of freedom in interpretation. So to be more precise, and thinking about product backlog items, they have to have some attributes, some state. So first, they have to be clear and concise. So the whole Scrum team understand the need to improve the product. And this is also important. The whole Scrum team, not just the product owner, but this is like the involvement of the whole team. On the other side, they have to be small enough. So as the goal is to be ready for the sprint, so then the developers have to be able to make it done within the sprint time. So they have to be small enough to fit into the one sprint. Another thing, they have to be transparent. So everyone who's involved in the process have to understand the stage in which the current product backlog is right now. One tip to this, sometimes you can use like properties, labels like refinement candidates, refinement in progress ready. So to just take a look on the backlog and easily distinguish in which state we have the given product backlog items. So if we know the purpose, so now it's the time for the process. And this is, maybe I can start with a question. So what the great chefs in the kitchen have in common with the great product owners? For sure, they can have a lot of similarities, but I believe that one of those can be that both of them have to keep their workplace clean and tidy. So the great product owners also have to take a look on the backlog. So this is not only adding activity, adding new items to the product backlog, but also make sure that they can delete the irrelevant items which are not fulfilling the vision of the product. So this is ongoing activity in a Scrum. Activity process, not an event. So the difference is that event is more time-boxed, activity leaves a little bit of the freedom, and all of those activity is relying on breaking down and further defining product backlog items. So we are adding new things to the backlog. We are looking at the existing ones. If they are too big, so the goal is also to divide them into smaller pieces. For the sizing, this is like the way when developers can help. So they are responsible for just providing the size of the given product backlog items. As long as they have some questions or the doubts, they can ask the product owner for this, for what to do next. So even if the product owner is accountable for shape of the product backlog, so there's nothing prevent you that all of the developers, all the Scrum team can help actually to do this. So be like a great chef, just keep your product backlog like clean and tidy. When it comes to the process, so there is not like single recommendation in the Scrum guide. So in 2017 version, so there was like mentioning that it takes up to 10 times of developers. Right now in the 2020 version, it's not exist anymore. But taking like looking from my perspective, so 8 hours per developer in a 2-week sprints, it's actually enough to have the proper backlog refinement. So maybe the question how far we should refine. So product owners should take a look constantly for the product backlog. But when it comes to the involvement of more like developers, so the range for 1 or 2 sprints ahead can be totally enough. It can of course vary across domain, but this is like a good recommendation for a start. So what we can have finally as a result, we can have the product backlog item in a ready state. That means that they are ready for the sprint planning, and they can contain several elements and details such as description, order, size, and yeah, so I mean like position in the backlog as well. So this is something which you consider ready. What else? We have the product backlog, which is more focused, clear, and relevant towards the product vision. And of course, we have the shared understanding within the whole Scrum team what we are going to do. Very quick homework for volunteers. You can take this concept of why, how, and what, and you can apply it to any element from the Scrum guide, and you can see how magic will appear. Because like this was on the previous talk, one of the things which I heard is that sometimes we have Scrum Masters which are just follow the Scrum guide, but they don't actually just go deeper and understand like the purpose behind every element. So this can help actually. Okay, so if we know what's the process, what's the purpose behind this, I can share a few and top 3 mistakes from my observation, what's the things how we can improve them. So first thing, and top one mistake is not doing refinement. So this is like a lot of excuses, but how to make it happen? So first of all, you have to plan them, plan it, plan how the refinements will look like in your context in your product. So plan it, define what ready means to you, like to have the same understanding, and do it regularly. How to plan it? So there are two things which you can do. Actually, nobody blocks you to just put the refinement task into the sprint backlog and define a time to do that. So the other thing is, as long as you have some data, so you can also assign some given capacity of developers just for refinement activities. Other thing is to just schedule a couple of meetings or like the sync time for refinement to make sure that you are doing. You can also challenge yourself on a daily, like after daily Scrum on a daily basis. So what's the process of and what's the state of the refinement? Number two, when it comes to the mistake, is not enough time. So we have so many things in the sprint, and there is no even time for refine other things. How to deal with this? So my advice is to start as soon as possible. Start with just the first days, not just leave it at the end, because at the end, there's normally not so many time to do the refinement. And last thing is to have too much on the plate. So we have backlog full of so many important items, but we don't know actually what to focus on. So then the product owner can help actually. And so he can help to prioritize the elements and share the strategy, share the vision behind the next steps in the product. And then the whole team can divide those elements into smaller batches. Also, you can use this suggestions from Lean, like refine not too many things up front, just leave it like up to 1 or 2 sprints ahead. So just in time, because on the way you can find out more details, and the details of the product backlog elements can actually change. Okay, and the promised merge, diverge, merge approach, which I would like to show you in practice. So this is very easy concept. So the concept is that, so this is refinement doing together, then separately, and then together. So it sounds like pretty easy, but let me just go step by step what's every element will looks like. So this table represents a sprint. And on the left side, you have the beginning of the sprint, and on the right side, you have the end of the sprint. And actually, you will be refining product backlog items for upcoming sprint. So what you can start in the first day or first or 2 days in a sprint, you can meet together with the whole Scrum team, and the product owner is sharing the high-level expectations and some of the product backlog items for which like he or she is important for the next sprint. So this is this hamburger without colors. So this is like the input. In the product backlog, they have to be already some product backlog items exist, but they have just, let's assume that they have just high-level description and like some of the acceptance criteria in it. And what's the goal? So the goal of this very quick sync between the team, let's assume that this can take like half an hour. It can be to go through all of those product backlog items, share high-level expectations about them. It can take like 3 minutes per each, and then define leaders who can refine given items offline. So they can be individuals or a group, but the goal is to just pick this like and do all of this other elements like offline. So each group can so after the meeting, the output of this meeting will be actually the product backlog with some leaders of every product backlog items. And then what I said before, so you can have in your sprint backlog such a tasks which defines your activity with refinement. Then, as long as the given group can find out like more details. They can find out like dependencies. They just verify like acceptance criteria. They can go through descriptions. They can reach to different other subject matter experts. And as long as they make sure that they are potentially ready, so this is the state, if you can label them refinement candidate, refinement in progress. So then they can sync with other team members, the whole Scrum team, and say, hey guys, we've already found out some more details. Let's gather together and let us share what we are already find out. So the whole Scrum team knows what's the expected result of this given product backlog item, and they can also size this. So no matter what technique you use, so they can create some sizing for the given product backlog items. The other group can do the same. So also, as long as they can find out more details, boom, there's a quick sync with other team members to share what they find out. The third group, exactly the same. Here, if you find out that here I've used it like the meat analogy, but as long as you are the vegetarian, you can use like chickpeas, and that can be also a result of the refinement. If you find out that this is like too big, you can also just divide the product backlog items into smaller pieces. And finally, as the sprint ends, so it's good to have another sync with the whole Scrum team and summarize what you did. So then you can have the product backlog, I expect, with the refined product backlog items. Some of them you can find out that this is like irrelevant. It can be down the product backlog list. On the other side, so you can find out like totally more information, totally new. So it can be still in the product backlog. And then if you have them ready, so do the summary. And then if you have it, so I believe you can have fairly easy sprint planning. There's also another version of this modification. Some of teams are using this. So they are meeting on the beginning of the sprint. They are doing all of those activities offline, and they're only doing the another sync at the end of the sprint. So some of them are not just having this ad hoc syncs about the modification, but it's really up to you what version is working in your context. And I believe you can also find out much different and another version how to do it in an efficient way. Okay, so let me summarize pretty quickly what I've shared. So first thing, which I believe is very important, so remember about the purpose. So ask yourself why we have this process, why we are doing this, what benefit we can have out of it. And as there is Italian saying that who has good flour makes good bread. I believe that who has good product backlog refinement has really good sprint planning and has also the product backlog which is focused, clear, and relevant toward product goal. Another thing is very important. This should be engagement of the whole Scrum team, not just product owners, so they can delegate this to others. But as we are in this together, so we are all have an input. So be like a chef. So clean your backlog and make sure that you can also collaborate with others. And another thing, the last one is like try to inspect adapt. So every version is working differently in different environments. So I believe you can find your way. That was just an example how to do it. For refining, so using this merge, diverge, merge pattern. But I really believe you can find your way. You can boost your refinement, and of course, you can have fun doing this. And actually, that's it. So thank you very much, and I'm really open for any question from your side.
Thank you, Marcin. So when we start working on a product, we know very little about it. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to estimate the work. It's obvious that we have to invest much more time in refinement at the beginning. And what about the mature teams? Do mature teams need a refinement, in your opinion?
Mm-hmm. Like you mean major teams, so the teams, can you clarify this? a little bit more. So
probably the teams that are working on products from a long time and they know the products.
So like, I believe what is valid. So on the beginning of the product, for sure, you have to invest more in finding out the domain, but that's fine. So, but really, I believe the goal is like to make sure that you are at the same time refining and providing something like valuable. So on the beginning, it can take you more time, and over time, you can learn it, like your domain, but like every time you can find something like new out of it. So so that's why maybe this recommendation about the time, how much you are going to spend with refinement, have been like deleting from the Scrum guide. But yeah, I believe so. That's important to do some preparation like upfront. Of course, you can not do it this, but then you can find out during the development that there's so many new things and so many like findings out which prevents you to actually delivering what is important. So that's, I believe, I recommend like to do it in both ways, right?
Marcin, thank you very much for your speech and your inspiration. Personally, I'm taking your idea with long table as a sprint length. I very like it. So our attendees, please leave a feedback on our page, AgileByExample.